Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Andy Collins. This is Game Over, and this week our show is coming to you from the Lee Valley Ice Centre, which is the training ground for the #1 ice hockey team in the UK, the London Knights. Now, coming up on today's show, we've got news, we've got previews, we've got features, and of course we've got me on the ice with the lads. Fantastic. It's a bit of a physical game, which is lovely because you know I like a bit of argy-bargy. Right, coming up first, here's the news.
Fans of Quake 3 and James Bond will be pleased to hear the two are to merge for an upcoming title based on the latest film. Electronic Arts have announced they've bought the rights to the Quake 3 engine, with the intention to create a first-person shooter around the spy thriller The World Is Not Enough. EA are yet to confirm which platforms it has in mind for the new title, but PlayStation 2 is believed to be the favourite, given the memory needed to run the engine. Details are sketchy at the moment, but try to imagine a love child between Quake 3 and GoldenEye, and you won't be far wrong. Sticking with the PlayStation 2, news just in from our Japanese correspondent confirms the existence of a bizarre new fireworks sim. According to our source, the idea is to create the most spectacular explosions possible as the camera pans across the city. Catch 3 rockets of the same colour before they detonate, and you're in for multicoloured chain reaction explosion. But don't expect to see this title at the launch of the UK PlayStation 2, as Sony Europe claim this game may never reach these shores. The fun never stops for the N64 owners, as Rare confirmed that Perfect Dark has been delayed once again. Originally planned for a pre-Christmas release, the delayed April the 11th date now looks set to be May the 22nd. Following the recent news that the revolutionary face mapping feature has been dropped, Nintendo fans will not be happy at this latest announcement. But given the rather jerky preview code we saw, it seems like an extra month may be just what's needed to round off the edges. And finally, Pokemon Mania reached new heights in the US when a high school student successfully sued his school after they lost his confiscated Pokemon trading cards. 11-year-old Rudy Donithian rejected the authorities' original offer of $500, demanding compensation to the tune of a whopping $5,000. The court decided in his favour after ruling that the school had a responsibility to look after pupils' items and awarded him $1,500, which he then spent rebuilding his collection.
Whatever happens, I ain't going to be the goalie. No, that's travelling at 100 miles an hour, that little black rubber thing that's like, no, I ain't doing that job. I'll be out in a minute, lads. I'm not too happy about this. Okay, time now for the first of our previews. Now, as we know, the PlayStation 2 is due for release. Now, if you believe the hype, we're all dribbling with excitement on the edge of our seats, wet in our beds, can't wait to get our hands on the PlayStation 2. Is that true, or is it just overhyped? We ask you, the Joe Public.
Just in case you haven't already heard, PlayStation 2 has just hit the streets in Japan in what is probably the most eagerly anticipated console launch in gaming history. So now Sony's dream has become a reality. What do UK gamers think of the new console, and what about the console market in general? Who do they believe is going to come out on top?
Are you excited about the launch of PlayStation 2?
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty big, and I think a lot of games will be good on the PlayStation 2.
It's something we've never seen before. It's basically they want it to be a machine that you can do everything with. And you know, I'm studying computing, and e-commerce is the way to go, and that's what they're doing with it. They've got DVD, they've got MP3 coming out for it, all within a year, which is, plus Sony have already got a base with PlayStation, so definitely it will be the leader.
We do want one, like me and my boyfriend, and because it's got like DVD on it and that, and see like playing games, and that. The games are meant to be quite good, so we want it for that, and just so we can buy DVDs instead of going out and buying like a player, just a single one that does something. Just the normal like playing DVDs. We want one that we can play games on and stuff like that. So we're going to get it.
Like I said before, it's going to be it's no contest between the Dreamcast and PlayStation. PlayStation 2 is going to knock the Dreamcast off the shelf. And when the new PlayStation comes out with the same sort of hardware, there's going to be no contest.
So do you think you'll buy one when they come on the market here?
Definitely, because I'm Dreamcast, so I'm just waiting for PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2 will be pretty big, but I think the Dreamcast is going to sell more games.
Why do you think that is?
Because it was released much earlier.
And what about Dreamcast? What do you think about that?
We've got one at home, and It's alright, it's quite good. Some of the games are not that interesting. I mean, some of them, the start of them will be like really good, like the graphics at the start, and then when you play the game, some of them are a bit boring, but Crazy Taxi, ones like that I've played, they're really good. That's quite a good game. Because we've got a Nintendo 64 and a PlayStation, so I think we'll stick with all of them. Just keep them all playing, because I like them all really.
I'm playing mostly driving games like Driver and Rush 2, but I do like shooting ups quite a lot and beat 'em ups.
So I've heard of Tekken Tag Team. I'm really looking forward to that one, mainly that one. From the day Mega Drive came out, I bought all the machines for one reason, because you know, for example, Sega have got just arcade on the Dreamcast. That's what's very strong. I got Crazy Taxi, which is an arcade game, but a game like Metal Gear Solid won't be coming out on a Dreamcast, so PlayStation will be coming out, and that's also a very good game. So I like to play both. I think just for the user base, I think PlayStation will come out just on top. Not as dominated as PlayStation was. I think they will come out on top. Yeah, definitely.
I think PlayStation 2 probably, because the games I've heard are meant to be much better in that, and it should be a lot better.
I think Sony PlayStation's won already.
Right.
That's why people are just waiting. That's why people aren't buying so many Dreamcasts. That's why people aren't investing in new PlayStations.
Well, it looks like the UK console market is set to get even more competitive, and only time will tell who comes out as top dog.
Come on, Andy, there's nothing to be scared of. You've done rallying, you've done the army assault course, you've done flying. All you've got to do is go on the ice with a big stick and hit things. It's easy, isn't it? Anyway, time now for the assassins. They're checking out Medieval 2, and I've nearly got my skates on. We'll see you in a bit. Can someone do me laces for me, please?
The bone-rattling historical adventure returns for another stab on the PlayStation. But are the assassins impressed by medieval antics?
Sir Dan Fortescue, noble knight and overall very, very thin person, returns for more zombie-mashing thrills in Medieval 2. Like the first Medieval, this looks absolutely awesome. All the characters look cool and are really well designed. There's some really superb weapon effects, and the levels have this really nice Nightmare Before Christmas feel that gives the whole game a nice gloss.
The first thing that you immediately notice about the new form of gameplay is that when the zombies are following you around, instead of you sort of like using your weapon to immediately vanquish them, you first have to lop off one arm, then another arm, then their legs. It's kind of like that Monty Python sequence with the Black Knight. It's really amusing. Can actually get quite frustrating when you get to your 10,000th zombie, but it is quite nice to begin with.
Medieval 2 looks great, plays brilliantly, and there's loads of varied challenges in there. And believe it or not, it'll even raise a laugh.
Now, the problem I've always had with the original Medieval and similarly with the second one is it's just not enough. There isn't enough puzzles to go round. It kind of relies more on you meeting a multitude of nicely animated sprites to vanquish instead of, say, the more puzzly aspects of a Mario or even a Tomb Raider. For its great animation and great graphics, it really doesn't quite hold together as an ultimate experience, and for that I'm not overly convinced by it. There are people out there that probably love the Medieval games and therefore they would love Medieval 2. I'm just not one of them.
In my opinion, the first Medieval was probably the best platform game ever to hit PlayStation, thanks to its clever mix of platforming, puzzling and fighting. And the second one looks like it's even better.
So I've got my stick, which is to help me hit the puck into the net, but I actually find it a good way of moving about on the ice, to be honest with you. Anyway, top games you can be playing on the PlayStation 2, right? See you in a bit. Come on, lads, I want to kick your butt now. Come on.
The PlayStation 2 has been successfully launched in Japan, and Game Over brings you the best of the Mahjong and pool simulator titles available at launch. Ha! Just kidding, all viewers. Strap yourselves in for a PlayStation 2 preview extravaganza. First up, easily the most impressive of all the launch titles was Ridge Racer 5. Visually, the racer was leaps and bounds ahead of any Ridge game in the series, with some of the flashiest cars and most stunning scenery ever seen in a driving game. Ridge Racer 5 also ran at a rock-solid 60 frames per second, which basically means the cars zipped around the track very smoothly at that breakneck speeds. Fighter is an update of the Eureka-developed arcade and PlayStation 1 title with the added benefit of a 4-player simultaneous mode to complement the much-improved graphics. This is classic Capcom gaming at its best, with searing projectiles and superhuman acrobatics lighting up the screen. It will certainly make the wait for Tekken Tag less annoying. Kessen was probably the top contender for third best launch game. The title by Koei featured plenty of polygon pummeling action. This was the title to show off how much data a PlayStation 2 can throw around on screen. Dozens and dozens of horseback samurai soldiers battling Braveheart style, and the PlayStation 2 handled all the detail without breaking into a sweat. Sadly, the game was very Japanese language heavy, ruling out any possible gameplay analysis for the time being. Well, that was it for the PlayStation 2 launch titles, but there are some real crackers on the horizon. I'm salivating over the prospect of tearing around the real high-powered supercar, and it looks like GT2000 will fulfill all my cravings. A next-generation update of the best racing game ever is simply too good to be true. When a game looks and moves like this, you forgive me for wanting to tell my grandma to get a copy. Another game worthy of selling family members for is impressive free-roaming beat-em-up The Bouncer from Square. The title is being developed by their Dream Factory team, made up of ex-Tekken and Soul Calibur, as well as Virtua Fighter coders no less, and promises to drag the tired scrolling beat-em-up into the realms of flashy Hollywood blockbuster territory. Fighting Force this certainly isn't. And lastly, Tekken Tag Tournament, a title so cool, well, I tell you what, I'll just let the footage do all the talking. It'll be here soon, people, we can but dream.
There we are, that's the end of part 1. Join us in part 2 when I'll be kicking these lads' butts all over the place. Right, come on then, guys, just be gentle with me. Right, when do we get... Oh, cool, it's all getting very aggro. I want my mummy. Right.
Join Game Over this week for the latest in a 3-part special report on the PlayStation 2. Let the games commence. Game Over reviews PlayStation 2 tonight at 7:30 on .tv.
People have no idea how tough it was being a rock star. All those girls, late night parties, it was tough. And those endless singing lessons. These days, I just enjoy myself. But I still have the odd fan to deal with. Mum, this has got to stop.
The new Hyundai Amica from £6,799. You don't have to be rich and famous to enjoy yourself. To paint, first you must see. I've spent my whole life looking and analysing, studying form and life.
Island Holidays brochure, call us free on 0800 55 5500. We're waiting for your call.
Lurpak.
There's no substitute for taste.
Sanex helps keep my skin healthy. It's even suitable for the likes of him. Sanex helps keep skin healthy.
Have your savings grown by over 40% since October 1998? No? Then perhaps you should give B2 a call.
Call B2 on 0800 626262 for an ISA information pack or visit b2.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of Game Over. Now, here I am with the London Knights, who are the #1 ice hockey team in the UK. Now, this is Paul, he's my coach, and this is Mark, he's the goalkeeper, the madman, who gets like these things hurled at him at 100 miles an hour. Having a little bit of shooting practice, so here we go. Saved one, right, okay, a few more to go. Now, as we know, Resident Evil 2 has just been released on the N64. The assassins take a look and tell you what they... Okay, I'm going in close now. Take a look at this. Go over to your assassins.
Well, now not even the cuddly N64 is safe from the dreaded zombies, and it's up to our nightmare residents to see if it matches up.
It's guns, gore and gameplay galore as the scariest video game ever created, Resident Evil 2 finally makes it to the Nintendo 64. The game centres around a zombie invasion in the fictional Raccoon City, where evil scientists have unleashed a terrifying virus on the populace. You play 2 characters set down in the middle of this zombie-infested hell with only your pistol to get you through.
Now, although N64 owners may well be standing in the streets outside Capcom with placards stating where the hell is Resident Evil 1, this was programmed first and probably also will be the last on the N64 because Resident Evil 2 was by far the best of the trilogy.
For console adventures, Resident Evil 2 is just about without equal. There's a hugely varied selection of enemies to fight. There's a load of really nice puzzles, and there's this constant chilling atmosphere throughout it that means that really this should not be played at night.
Now, although this obviously comes on 1 cartridge rather than 2 discs, which the PlayStation version did, it all fits in. It's a huge cartridge indeed, because they've managed to get everything in. All the FMV, all the speech, and not only that, they've even improved the graphics. They are absolutely glorious. In fact, this is possibly the most perfect conversion that you could ever have done.
Redfield.
There's a couple of new add-ons for the Nintendo 64 version. Like, once you've completed the game once, some of the items will be randomly scattered through it, so it'll be slightly more difficult to complete the second time through. Also, if you're finding it a little bit tough, you can tinker with the intensity of the zombie invasion, so you can either go easy on yourself or make it absolutely, absurdly hard. Resident Evil 2 grips you right from the off and will not let go. There's some real frights in here. The combat is bloody and absolutely brilliant, and the weapons are absolutely superb to play with. The puzzles will tax your mind, and the atmosphere of this game really will chill you to the marrow. There's 2 whole adventures in here, so it'll last you as well. This is an absolute corker.
What can I say? Resident Evil 2 was one of the best games ever created, and they've actually tweaked it so it's even better than before. N64 owners needn't look any further. This is the game to buy at the moment.
Now, the secret of being a good ice hockey player is you've got to be fast on your feet. And as you can see, viewers, I have blistering pace. Oh, God, I didn't mean to do that. I'll go and get it back. Anyway, listen, we heard that there was a sequel to Roll Cage. We thought we'd hotfoot it up to Warwickshire to find out all the news and find out if the music's been updated and if they managed to get rid of those little glips that we in Roll Cage 1. Take a look at this.
For the last 10 years, attention to detail has been making classic games, from Super Sprint for the Atari ST to Roll Cage. And Game Over here, they've got a sequel coming out, Roll Cage Stage 2. So we've come up to the heart of Shakespeare's country, where their offices are based, to check out exactly what's going on. The original Roll Cage was a stylish, futuristic racer, which stood out for its remarkable speed and huge outsized wheels.
We had these massive great rig wheels that just went with that kind of theme, so that you can land on the roof and carry on going, and you just keep going and going and going until you get over the line and you're the winner.
But the first game was not without its problems, and one of the biggest complaints was cars spinning out and disorientating the player.
With the cars coming from behind and just whacking your back wheels out and spinning you out, we've toughened up the player's car so that you when you're playing it, you've got the advantage over all the other cars, so that's good.
Second time round, ATD have also introduced the Staker Can, which turns your car in the right direction after a spin. But as well as fixing problems, they've been hard at work introducing new features. For example, the two-player mode has been enhanced and improved for the sequel.
We've got so many different game modes in Stage 2. You might be really good on the combat tracks, or you can play a time game on that, which is my favourite, and then you can go on to do something else, like one of the tournament or something.
But it's not all about breakneck racing. Stage 2 also boasts some impressive sub-games and extras.
My favourite thing in the game is the scramble tracks, actually. I think the scramble mode in general.
What I'm most proud of as a designer, I think, has to go to the scramble tracks, though. The amount of variety and the amount of thought that's gone into them as well to try and ensure a smooth progression through them. We've managed to do some really nice stuff that we honestly didn't think we could actually get the engine to do in some places.
And how are the visuals and special effects shaping up?
It's constantly bombarding you with sort of big explosions, wonderful special effects. You take out a building and the screen just becomes a mass of pyrotechnics. And it's not just a one-off thing. We've got this new doubled up shield effect, which is like this predator type shield, it sort of distorts all the space around it, so it's like an invisible wave that sort of rides around your car. It looks really nice.
One of the standout features from the original roll cage was the soundtrack, and for Stage 2, ATD wanted to take that a step further, so they enlisted Moving Shadow to come up with some specially written tracks, especially for the game. This is Scott Garrett from Moving Shadow. Scott, can you tell us about your involvement in roll cage?
Yeah, sure. Psygnosis came to me as well as ATD, asked about commissioning some exclusive tracks for the sequel to the original roll cage, and I've been working together with the two of them on the game.
Fantastic. And how did you go about choosing the artists and the tracks to go with the game?
Psygnosis and ATD gave us descriptions of the different environments, and I sort of married them up to the respective artists, bearing in mind their talents and the sort of music they wrote.
They basically approached us and said, well, we want you to write a theme tune for Roll Cage 2, but we want it to be a vocal track and we want it to be our kind of intro for the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, we think it's really good to be involved in the game scene anyway, because it's becoming so big now, and because, you know, the music is such an important part to it that, you know, we want to be involved, and it's a really good opportunity to be involved, so, you know, it's cool.
Scott just said, do you want to do a track for Roll Cage too? It's going to be a big game. And I said, yeah. Predominantly a lot of the people that listen to my music sit around at home and don't go to work, so I suppose they probably spend a lot of time playing computer games, yeah.
So, to recap, a fast-paced, futuristic racer with a thumping soundtrack and great visuals. Now, where have we heard that before?
The only similarity I can see between Roll Cage and Wipeout is the fact that we've got Go Faster stripes on the track. Okay, well, there's more than that. I mean, it was coined as Wipeout on wheels. I mean, Psygnosis is publishing it. Psygnosis published Wipeout. You can see the similarities. It's a lot more hectic. It's a lot more fun, I find. And just, you've got stuff going off all over the place. You've got explosions going off and you're going through them. And you can find really cool ways of overtaking the opposition. You know, you've got someone coming, you're coming up behind someone flat out. You can overtake them by going up a cliff face and stuff like that. You can't do any of that in Wipeout.
Well, there we are, viewers. That's the end of today's show. A big thank you to the London Knights, who have left the ice, but for teaching me how to skate, and I wish them all the best for the remainder of the season. They have left me, though, with some competition that I might be able to beat. I do hope so. I want all old people and